Hello, everybody. Father Jeff here for episode 7. Probably the final episode. We'll find out. We'll see where this ends and where the Spirit moves me. Of the Guadalupe report. Thank you for persevering, for all of our faithful viewers. Maybe we'll get whatever that category of rewards is that they do for TV shows and not movies that I don't really know. I really should research more before I start talking. God bless you all for watching. Today is the day where I finally get to talk about the dump. I'll try to keep this short. There were so many awesome things. I mean, you might be thinking, I'd be like, this has all been awesome and so beautiful, as I've probably been saying that time and time again. But the dump truly was spectacular. And now when I say the dump, I quite literally mean it was a trash dump. It's where all of the trash from Mexico City, well, not all of it, they have more than one dump, but a lot of the trash was going for that region, and it was just piles and piles and piles of trash, as hopefully some pictures are being put up right now of just giving you an idea of how much trash it is. And it's really hard to understand the structure of how the dump works, as I think I previously referenced it, because it is very structured, and actually Hope of the Poor, Craig had to work really hard to get legal permission to go in multiple times. He kept getting kicked out, which was just surreal. Think, what do you mean you need permission to get into the dump to spend time with the people that live and work there? Well, yeah, he did. He had some of the best lawyers in the world working on it, and they didn't even want to do it. He eventually sent one of his poor to just say, hey, listen up. I lived on the streets. This is incredible work. We just want to feed and spend time with these people. And then they're like, oh, okay, here you go. Get in anytime you want, 7 days a week, for however long you want. It's awesome. The lawyers couldn't do it, but one of Craig's poor people could, which was just awesome. So, the dump. It's really structured. Essentially, families rent little plots of land within the dump, and then they sort through everything, recyclables, electronics, anything they can sell. And then they sell that, and then they pay the people they have to pay, the people who go out in their truck, motorcycle combo things to collect the trash, the people if they're in a certain part where they have to carry something up the hill before they can sort it, they pay those people, and they pay rent, they pay all the necessary things, and they end up with, on average, about $7 a week is what we were told. So just enough for food, just enough to survive. Rough living, some beautiful people there, some awesome people there. Just love spending time with them. And all we did is the first time we got there is we just set up camp. We just set up some food and started passing it out. We just literally brought food and drink to the people because we just wanted to encounter Christ. We just wanted to work us alongside of them. So we just started bringing drinks to people and say, hey, we got food over here if you want some, but here's a drink, have some juice. ¿Quieres un poquito de jugo? Would you like some drink? Juice is what I just said. And then we just talked to them. And if they let us, we worked. I often just made fun of the students or missionaries that were working with the people who lived there. Like there was this one guy, he climbed up in the truck and started raking everything out for him. One of our, actually he was one of the missionaries. And so what do? I don't help. I just say, start talking in Spanish to the guy, knowing the missionary didn't really understand all of the Spanish. He was also really focused in the work. I was like, how's he doing? Is he a little slow? And they're like, yeah, he's pretty slow. So I'm not helping, I'm just making fun. But we were having a good time. So, and I'm just chatting with them. Some of the people I got to pray over, just asking the Lord to be with them and heal them of any infirmities that they were with, having and experiencing in that moment. Because if they lose their ability to work, they lose their livelihood and their chance to earn any money, and it's essentially a death sentence. So it is a fascinating existence, and you're just walking around trash. You're not walking on fill with just a thin layer of trash on top. You're walking on trash. It is just a surreal thing of just walking around there. But it's just still awesome. This is where, if you remember from a homily from a couple weeks ago when I talked about Valentin, cue the picture of Valentin. This is where we got to talk with him and got to meet him and hear about his needs and see what we can do. Just an awesome person. He actually said I could drive one of the trucks, but then he started sharing his heart-wrenching story, and I was just so impressed with his faith and his just completely just saying, yeah, whatever happens, happens. Yeah, I'll make it. Was just taken by his beauty. I felt bad if I was like, I can't ask to drive one of those trucks now. I'll look like a jerk. I can't do that. So I didn't. I resisted. But one of the times they took us, Craig walked with us because he wanted me to meet a guy. So we walked up the hill, about 30, 40 feet up a hill of trash. And I'm like, I hope I don't fall because I'm not very stable as it is, not very agile. And so I'll probably roll down this entire hill, which would have been awful. Got to meet this guy. He used to have arthritis in his hands, hands all swollen. A priest prayed over him a number of years ago, and right before their eyes, they shrunk down. So he was able to continue working and earning a living for his family, which was just awesome that the Lord blessed him that way. And I got to talk to him, and what he was talking about is like, yeah, people die young here. They reach the end of their life young. I would have guessed that man was in his 70s, maybe 80s even. He was in his literally 50s. It's just they're in the sun. They only get 1 day off a year for Gudalupe on December 12th. They're in the sun all day, hard physical labor all day. So they age really quickly. But they're still people of such beautiful faith, as Christ is just so clearly present in them. And they're just so thankful for everything, for that human interaction. They're just so thankful for someone to treat them and say, yeah, your work's important. You're doing something important. And you have dignity as a son and daughter of Christ. That's really all we're doing. We can't do anything to change their situation because work experience is so valued in Mexico that even if we were to give them a home somewhere else, the chances that anybody gives them a job, but because they have no life experience or no work experience outside of the dump, they have a very specific skill set. And the fact that the dump smell is kind of just soaked into their skin, they're probably never going to get a job. So we can't do anything to help them get out of this poverty. Now, Hope of the Poor is doing awesome things for the kids who live there, who are born into that generational poverty of trying to get them an education to try to break that cycle, which is awesome what they're doing. And the, funny story break. We've been having some deep, heavy stuff. Funny story. So I mentioned this in the very first episode. So one of the days we're there, they're tossing a Frisbee with some of the local kids, and it goes over a ditch. And one of our students, who's brilliant, who I'll make sure watches this, decides to cross the ditch. It wasn't deep enough for him to go all the way across, but he sees a pile of dry trash next to water. And he assumes, oh, sturdy ground underneath. No, just floating trash. So he goes down to his knees in dirty trash water. I didn't know any of this happened. Worst part is he didn't even catch the Frisbee. Wasn't even worth it. Lame. So it was for several hours later that I noticed he's just wet from the knees down. I'm like, dude, what happened? He's like, well, explains what just happened, what I just told you. But Craig, with Hope of the Poor, just lays into him and just starts making fun of him. It was the funniest thing. Oh my gosh, I was just rolling around laughing so hard. Because he's like, dude, do you know how nasty that is? And like the student's already embarrassed. And he's like, yeah, I know. It's nasty. He was like, no, it's worse than you think. First, it was acid rain coming down. And then it filters through hundreds of feet of filthy trash, soaking in all of that trash juice. And then it gets to the bottom where it's so dirty that the ground won't even let it soak in. That's what you stepped in. I was just dying. It was just so funny. Oh my gosh. And I will never let him live that down. Sorry, bud. I won't say your name. And he didn't even catch the Frisbee. Lame. But just a funny trash story. The second day we went to the dump, we were at one of the communities. They hadn't had Mass there in over a year, about a year. And I had the privilege and the honor to celebrate Mass there. And they each had chapels, and their chapels in of themselves were just so awesome because everything in their chapels they found in the trash. And they fixed up. And some of it, you're like, someone threw that away. It's just because they did that good of a job fixing it up. Now, some of it might not have been terribly broken, as that was one of the reflections that I had. It's like, man, how wasteful am I? If something as simple as a peanut butter jar, because if it still had a bunch of peanut butter scraps on the inside, they just chuck it into the trash. There's nothing else they could do. But if it was all the way clean, they can sell that for money. So I'm like, I need to spend that minute cleaning out that peanut butter jar. Even though our dumps in the U.S. don't work that way. But it just showed me that truly that important and how important that is and how awesome if somebody's doing that work. But we had the privilege and the honor to celebrate Mass there. which was just awesome. And because just seeing the faith of these people who hadn't had Mass in so long, but they were still so faithful, and they still saw the love of Christ. But just being able to bring them the Eucharist, to allow them to honor and worship our Lord Jesus Christ in the most holy sacrament of the Mass, sacrifice of the Mass, it was just so humbling. I mentioned earlier that it was so hard to preach to nuns. I think it was even harder to preach to those people that day because they were living the faith so well. And it was so easy to see Christ in them that I'm like, what can I, an American, a spoiled American, tell to these people? And I just tried to show them Christ's love and just gave thanks to them for the witness of what they've shown me. I couldn't tell you what I said. I was saying in Spanish, so I don't even know. Probably was gibberish, and they were just like, oh, yeah, nice father. Yeah, I have no idea. But it was just so awesome and so beautiful. And I can't wait to go back one day. And this has gone on far too long. So I'll just wrap it up with the second time I finally did work. I didn't only just make fun of them. We did, that community, they normally don't visit very often, so they weren't used to people working with them. But they still let us. They were a little reluctant at first, because they're like, well, why would you guys want to work with us? And they just weren't sure of like how to respond to that interaction. But eventually they did. And so this family, they'd already sorted out the stuff they could sell, and they were just taking the raw garbage to a ledge to kind of drop off. And so we were helping them do it. So here's some pictures of us just helping this family, family and friends. She's not the one little girl, younger girl. She's not a daughter. She was a friend. Just helping them lug the trash across the plane of trash and just chatting with them, and just seeing them as people and letting them see us as people too. As that's really what we were doing. We were just trying to have a relationship, so we can see Christ in each other, so we can embrace Christ in each other, so together we can grow in the faith. Together we can grow in the love of Jesus Christ, all under and through the intercession and the protection of Our Lady of Guadalupe. As that really was the epitome of this entire week that we spent down there, of just encountering and embracing Christ in the poor, and seeing the poor truly as a gift, as somebody that Jesus Christ left for us to encounter and serve and love him. As that is the best way, really, I've come to realize through Craig's work, to encounter the poor, to love the poor, and to serve the poor. That's one of the best ways to find Jesus Christ. And so I encourage you to read Matthew 25 under that circumstances, to read Matthew 25 with the understanding that Jesus left us the poor as a gift. Obviously, we need to do to alleviate their suffering in any way we can, physical or spiritual poverty. But just read that under the lens of the poor being gift, and Jesus' invitation to encounter and embrace him in the poor. And I just want to leave you with that awesome message of hope of the poor. And this video has been 3 or 4 times longer than I originally said that they would be. But the dump was just so awesome, so this had to be a little longer, and I apologize. But take care and God bless. Maybe I'll do another episode. Maybe I'll move on to other things. Maybe nobody will ever watch these. Yeah, this is kind of sad. This has been a lot of fun. But I'm really drawing this video out. So signature goodbye, peace out. I don't know what the proper way, peace out. Father Jeff checking out. Until the next video, God bless you all. Love you all, praying for you all. Please pray for us. Please pray for all medical personnel, all first responders, and all those who are sick. God bless you all. Take care.